In this episode of Locally Owned, we're going to be talking to one of my oldest friends in business and in the real estate Vancouver market. His name is Ty Corsie from the Ty Corsie Group. Over the years, I've known Ty's personal journey. Now, for those of you that have followed Ty at Sold by Ty, you've seen him absolutely blow up his socials and kind of just turn and transition his entire business model from what was old school to where there was no brand, no nothing, to where there is a brand today. We're going to be breaking that entire thing down, his entire journey of how we met, etc., and kind of understanding his passion and purpose in this crazy market of Vancouver that we live in. Let's go have a chat with Ty. So as you guys saw in the intro of this specific episode of Locally Owned, I have a good friend, a longtime friend, business colleague as well, and what I probably, you are one of my best friends, Corsie.
Oh.
We've had some memories, we've had some good times, we've had some interesting times. I've seen you transition from, what has been interesting in your career of real estate. How long have you been, tell our audience, how long have you been in real estate? How long, and then kind of, transition there. Like, tell us a little bit about the background.
2003, I got licensed. Strictly because of Dad.
Yeah.
Been in the industry, he's been in the industry over 40 years now. So I got licensed because of him.
Wow.
Loved watching him, loved what he did growing up, loved his interaction with people. And I took interest in it right out of the gate. Ever since I was small, I would go to Dad's. Dad used to build houses in New Westminster, Victorian homes. And I would go with them and I'd watch them build a house, him and his business partner at the time. And I just knew real estate was in my blood from a very early age. So when I had the option of getting my real estate license right out of high school, I decided to do that. Yeah. It's been 18 years now and I haven't looked back. And I've transitioned through 3 different brands. It, of course, started as Dan and Ty and then switched over to Ty and Dan. And we are currently in the process of the David and Ty Homes Group switching over to Ty Corsie Group.
Before we get into kind of the theory of it, let's have a cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
To what is going to be a fun run for you. To new beginnings.
It's going to be a great run.
So 2003. Prior to that, did you, before you got into getting your real estate license, what were some of your other options? Did you go to school? Did you do college, university?
Yeah, took some marketing courses right out of high school. Yeah. But I did get my real estate license right when grade 12 was done. I was allowed to get it. I think when we were 18, turning 19, you're allowed to get your real estate license. Yeah. It's funny because the first house I sold in a few hours. So I think for me, I really wanted to pack in the schoolwork and just continue with real estate right out of the gate.
And get it done.
Yeah. The first house was sold the very first day I listed it.
So. Tell us about your first house.
First house, little house in Panorama Ridge. You'll never forget it. $299,900 for a half acre. For those of you that know the area right now, it's probably worth $2 million.
Jeez.
That's how fast time has gone. Got a sign out of my trunk, hammered it in the front garden because I couldn't afford to order a pole, and hammered it in. The guy pulled up, and he said, "I want to buy it." And I said, "Great." So I went in the back of my car, got out a 3-page contract, which had carbon copies at the time. I pressed hard on the hood of my truck, and he ended up buying that house for full price, no subjects, for $299,900. And I remember calling Dad. And back then you were allowed to double end.
Yeah.
There wasn't another agent involved, so of course I would get both ends of the commission. Yeah. And I thought to myself, well, that was pretty good. I like this job, no inspection. And I called Dad and I said, this is it. And he said to me, son, they're not all going to be like that. So,
but it teased you pretty well, though.
It was it for me. I just instantly was addicted to sales. I was instantly addicted to the rush of helping people buy and sell houses. And now I've done over 1,000 families I've helped to today, and all 1,000 people are regular clients, regular referrals. It's absolutely incredible.
That's amazing. So you obviously got out, sold your first house in your first few hours. Most realtors, whether it's back then or today, that's an anomaly.
Yeah, that was still a rare case. That doesn't happen nowadays. But the transition over to online presence and where we're hopefully taking our stuff, which I'm looking forward to, has changed the business drastically. I honestly think if you're not regularly doing some good content and video content, you'll get buried.
which is very, very true. Now we'll get there. We'll get to the story of how Ty and I actually met, and some of the stuff. There's a reason why I'm wearing this jacket today. Now there's some sentimental values to this jacket going on. But okay, so from 2003 to, let's just call it 2015, when we decided to work together. What did that look like business-wise? How do you get to a point where you are today? Like, let's talk about the first trajectory till you transition. And that transition, even in 2015 that we did, was a big one.
Yes, I think the real pivoting point was when we did meet, and we talked about branding and the importance of rebranding and some online presence. That was really when the afterburners kind of kicked on for me. I operated a level of business that was superb. I mean, I thought it was fantastic for so many years, and I was happy with it. But then realizing the importance of rebranding and just being a little bit everywhere. I think that's the thing that I love about my business is I like to advertise a little bit everywhere. I like to be a little bit everywhere instead of being 500 bus benches or 500 shelters. I like to do a little bit everywhere. And when I met you and we talked about branding. Yeah.
So tell us from 2003 to 2015, what was that like learning, going through the transitions? What was your let's just talk about like some of your biggest successes in the first, let's call it 10 years.
I think once I was asked to speak at different events, and I started getting some engagements from that, I knew that I had something, that I was on something. That I jumped in the pool was when my social media presence really just started to take off. And that was back in 2015, 5 years ago or more. I jumped in a pool in a suit and realized that...
That's the one where we had the drone take up above you.
Drone took off in a suit, backstroke around in a pool in a full suit, and like 1,000 views in hours, and I knew I had something.
You had something then. Yeah. It didn't look like that in 2008.
It didn't look like that in 2008. 2008 was a hard one, almost 9 months, I think, without a deal, which a lot of you know in the real estate game, that's a long time. Like 9 months without a deal is actually about a year by the time you get stuff going again.
So tell us that you had your first house sold within a few hours. You had a few years where you probably made a decent amount of money, and then you had what was for most real estate agents, because right now we're sitting in that time where there's a lot of uncertainty. People don't know what is going to happen. So it's like, how did you transition from that period of had a good run and then went through what we call the GFC?
I think honestly realizing the importance of cultivating the relationships and just getting your core people, your best people in your life, and just treating them like absolute gold. Chasing new business, as you know, in your business and any other business, is the hardest thing ever. Trying to get somebody to work with you if you don't know them is so much harder than reconnecting with somebody, having a coffee, and just talking about what we had before and that relationship that we had before. It instantly sparks an interest again. It'll instantly bring up, old memories. Yeah,
just like what we're doing right now.
Referrals, and that's why we do this.
So when you went through that period in that phase of 9 months, no business or not a deal that goes through, which in any business owner's head, whether it's yours or mine or whether you're running a coffee shop, you don't sell something for 9 months. There's a lot of anxiety that kicks in those times.
A lot of anxiety. I'll be up front. I lost a marriage because of it.
Damn.
It was very stressful.
Yeah.
But I picked myself back up, kind of hit the bottom there of business and relationship, and realized it's really important to balance my life.
Balance your life.
Of business and relationship. And nowadays it's better than ever. Both things are better than ever, right?
That's amazing. The one thing that I like to say when people say, "Oh, I've hit rock bottom," but it's like, if you've hit rock bottom, where else can you go? There's only up.
Yeah, absolutely. And rock bottom, it wasn't like it's, I'm going to be living on the streets, right?
No,
but I'm very used
mentally.
Mentally. I'm very driven, goal-driven guy.
Yeah.
I like to have the ball rolling all the time.
Yeah.
And for me, it just kind of stopped. And in my business, and like your business, when the ball stops rolling, that really stops business for months ahead of that. You got to keep the ball rolling to have stuff coming down the road. So
the reason why I ask these questions too is because everybody looks at you today as sold by Ty, as the guy that's on social media, the guy that's doing what 120.
The team was amazing. David and I and Dev, Lindsay and Dan did 120 ends this year, and every single one of them contributing amazing. They were all great to work with. 120 families, which is pretty good.
2020 guys.
Yeah, we thought of all different new ways to advertise. We leveraged social media. We leveraged our Instagram, YouTube pages, paid for online ads, really worked Facebook, and just kept regular content all the time. And we spent money online. And that's why Rohan's here and GrowRev is around. It's because people realize that, advertising online is well worth dollar for dollar compared to print. I was the print machine for almost 15 years.
You were known as the guy that mail out Mondays.
I'd mail out every single week. And nowadays, for what it would cost you to mail out 5,000 homes or to hit 50,000 homes, reoccurring 5 times a month, it's way better online.
You really put, and I can say this heart of hearts, because you really put branding in Vancouver on the map.
Yeah, we had, in the real estate industry, Remaxes and Home Lifes and Royal LePages, it's all the same sign. And so it had just started to transition over 5 or 6 years ago of individual realtors doing individual logos with the Royal LePage or the Remax logo very small in the corner. And so when we created our new logo and put that out there, it was noticed instantly. People were noticing it everywhere. Then I started with video content, and I really leveraged Instagram. I got in at an early time. People ask, how long you've been doing it for. Like, I've been doing it consistently for 2 or 3 years. Regular video content, 2 or 3 regular years, but on Instagram for probably 5, like in its early days, just like you, and just working that free platform as much as we can, right? So the branding part of it in 2015 was the game changer. People thought it was a building that was going to blow up. No, not really. It was just a new business card, a new website. But we did a video-based website at the time. You log onto my website, and it was kind of video in the background, and it was the first of many. People haven't seen that.
One of the things that when I sat down with Ty in end of 2015 to have this conversation with him was, he's like, I want to make a difference and I want to change. And I go, well, sending out a logo that looks like it was made in the 1970s is not going to work. So we got to rebrand everything. And I'm pretty sure I have a picture still, and I'll probably put it into this video here, where it's like you have your old binder and then have your new folder that we created.
Yeah, and it was bad.
The difference that was.
It's bad.
People knew you were out for vengeance. You were out to take over the market. And that's exactly what we did. And then come 2016, when we actually launched, we did some cool things.
It's some cool. One of my favorites was the business credit card. It was a credit card that was made of plastic.
It looked like a black.
We made it look like a black Amex with no limit. It had the magnetic strip on the back where you could actually sign. The letters of 583 sold, which is my old office number, were embossed.
So it looked like a credit card. Had an expiry date. Had
everything.
A CVV code on the back.
It did. That was when I handed it to every single person. They looked at it and thought it was a gift card. They kept that in their wallet. They didn't throw it away. And I think that's the key thing with branding, is you got to have something that people remember. You got to have something that's something quality. And in early days, I would never go home until I handed out 5 business cards in a day. I would never get back in my car and go home until 5 cards were given out to somebody. And if that meant leaving it in a gas pump, I would leave a business card somewhere.
This is guerrilla marketing, guys. Like, this is when, for those of you that have followed me for long enough to know that I came from the door-to-door sales background and built a huge organization there. What Ty is talking about is, it's 5 people that did not know about him would know about him because of that.
I would just make sure I'd meet 5 more people every day.
There was a brokerage that you walked into and they had it pinned to the back wall.
Yeah, Keller Williams, Vancouver. Yeah, they did. I did a seminar there one time on social media marketing, and my business card was pinned to the back wall, and it was there for a couple of years because I had sent a thank you to the office. And that's another thing, guys, the importance of the connections and the relationships in the business, no matter what businesses it is. Always thank those people that made your business get to where it is. So for me, working with every single agent that I do on every transaction, every agent is thanked one way or another. And if that's a bottle of wine or a Starbucks gift card, whatever it is, and I would send that out to them, and they would remember that. And they would just remember that relationship. And I think when I go out to sell something and see one of these realtors' listings, or they see my listing, we all want to work together.
Well, and because you build a reputation, you build credibility, they like you, they trust you, they want to do more deals with you. And that's where I think you've done a phenomenal job. Like, yeah, I came in and kind of helped on taking, like you said, put the thrusters on it. But from the foundation perspective, from 2003, from when you started to 2015, when we literally put the jet engine on your brand, that's all that, you were very, very consistent. very, very consistent on the relationships, and that's kind of something that you've always been. It's been relationships over, money.
Just to give you an idea of where Rohan took my business, the first year that we rebranded, my business doubled. So to put that in perspective for transactions for real estate, that's actually quite a bit. Considering I was doing fairly well on my own, I would always do about 35 to 45 transactions when I was younger, and then I would hit about 50 a year, and then Rohan took me up to in the 90s on my own just from the rebrand. Yeah, ever since then I've just been cultivating those relationships, not concentrating on the per transactions every month, but just making sure that every person is taken care of from start to finish, like 250%. That's so important now.
We were chatting about this before recording this podcast because you had a deal closed today.
Yeah, deal completed.
And it was a situation where it's a perfect story where like the lady was buying her first home, and it kind of like explain that story.
Yeah, she was sleepless nights for the last week because she was so excited. She couldn't sleep. She would message me every day. I cannot wait. Monday I get my keys. Well, guess what? Monday was today. She gets her keys and the place is filthy. Do you know what that kind of does? Her attitude shift went from so excited to just in the dumpster. So what do? We got to do something to make her happy, right? So if that means me making sure that she gets a maid and her carpet's washed and the appliances all make sure they're working properly, I will do what I have to do to make sure that person is happy. Because that's it.
That very first transaction, just because even though it's her first home for her, to her it's a lot of money that she's investing.
It's a lot of money for anybody.
Yeah, to you it looks like just another deal on paper. Like to the average person, like, oh, Ty just sold another home. But what he did there was making sure that that memory that she has will forever be etched into the back of her brain subconsciously, so that whether it's her moving forward and buying a townhouse or detached home in the future, or someone that she's talking to, what he did at the end of that entire transaction is what will carry on, not the paycheck that he got from this one deal.
I think so many people are always concerned about in the moment and getting pissed off in the moment. Who's going to pay for this? Let's phone somebody and scream at them. How about you don't phone somebody? Take care of it all now and then figure it out after, right? Don't put the burden on your client who's sitting there upset, like crying walking through the door. Like, let's get you happy, right? So your place is being cleaned. I'll make sure her fridge is working for her. It'll be fine. And she's so happy and grateful that that's all happening. That's the bottom line, right?
Which is the core foundations. Everybody can teach you how to get more leads. Everybody can teach you how to scale your business. But if you don't have the foundation on taking care of your clients and making sure that they refer you constant business, you have a broken business. Like, that's literally what it comes down to. Because no matter what happens, no matter what economy, that will always sustain longevity, and he will always win because of that. And that is one thing that we've always focused on, whether it was the old days of Rohan Chef Consulting or GrowRev or whatever other company that I own today. That is the one thing that we always focus on, is the end delivery, so that people remember who you are. So the money will come, the money will go. The relationships that you build will literally be there forever. Like, that's what you got to remember.
And during COVID, guys, a lot of people sat there as real estate agents wondering, what the heck do I do? What do I do for 4 months? You know what you do? You cultivate every single relationship that you have and give people some advice, give people some sort of guidance of what is going on, of what to expect, of how much you care for them and their family, right? I mean, this is going out and chasing new leads. It's really difficult.
So let's talk about COVID for a second. You had a good year last year. You transitioned to a new brand January of this year.
We launched at the end of last year.
To give you guys a perspective, it's like you went from what was Dan and Ty originally and Valley Pacific Group.
Dan and Ty, Ty and Dan.
Then went to Ty and Dan. Then went to David Smith Homes Group. Yeah. And now you're coming out with yours. And we'll touch on that in a minute. So you did the partnership with David Smith, and so David and Ty last year. Going to New York, good run, excited. February, everything's good. March, the world shuts down.
Yeah. Can you imagine creating a brand new partnership with somebody and COVID happens? Like, I'm sure many of you out there, your business has been tested. For us, we created this team. We took on a massive branding expense and COVID happens. Like, we're talking deals January, February, and March, the light switch goes off. You know what that does? That tests your relationship. It tests your team structure. It tests everything. And we went through that test. We survived it, came out stronger than ever. We basically did no business for 60 days. That's crazy. And then it started again, and we've finished the year fantastic. And then each realized that we each don't need each other. We're each leaders, and Dave's an unreal leader on his own, and I do my own thing. So that's what we realized.
We'll come to 2021 in a minute here. So, what was the thoughts in your head going into March?
It was so much uncertainty in my place too. There's no. I'd lie if I told you that I wasn't worried. I was worried. I was worried about if I was going to even sell this year again. I mean, I remember Dad sending me a message, who's my mentor and role model. Dad sent me a message and just said, "Son, count your pennies, save them. The world's going to end." You know, like my dad just thought that, okay, this is the way life is for the next year.
Yeah.
And you know, I stayed positive with it. I said, "Dad, don't worry, I'll be fine." But it did go longer than what I wanted it to go. Really, the phone didn't ring for 3 months, right? And it eventually came back. During that time, we worked on our back end of our business. We made sure the back end was incredible. We made sure that everybody was informed of what was going on and what this meant. So that was a full-time job, and anybody out there, your back end of your business should be as good as the front end of your business. Like, it actually should be better.
I had this conversation this morning with actually a real estate firm out of Las Vegas that I was talking to, and they're like, "Oh, how many leads can you drive with me?" And I go, "You know, what does the back end of your company look like?" Because when we come in to quote unquote break the company, and the reason being is our goal is to try and send as much volume of leads that want to buy and sell your product. And they're like, "Oh, it's not bad." I'm like, "No, I don't want not bad as an answer, because if I send you too many leads, then all of a sudden now you're going to not continue working with me." And what you just said is exactly what I tell every single client. It's like, until you're operationally functionally set for scale, and you're not willing to invest in that, and do not invest in anything else, because that's exactly what will make or break your company.
Yeah, absolutely. Delegation, your team members. There's some things that you shouldn't be doing. You know, there's some things that anybody can do. So why don't you pass on some of those things and work on what you're good at?
Pennies on the dollar. Like, there's 3 things that I talk about: is automate, delegate, or destroy. So that's kind of what I usually do whenever on my list, because that gives me more time to do the foundation things that I know that in a company that I can increase more value. It's exactly like yourself. It's like, what you can do is that you're really good at, you know, getting those deals, getting on the phone, and building those relationships. Outside of that, those are the 2 highest profit producing activities in your entire business. Outside of that, you shouldn't be doing anything else.
No, and I'd be driving flyers to the post office and going to make sure they're printed and folded properly. I mean, I get it. I like to be in control of the business. I'm a perfectionist. I like everything polished and perfect, but at the end of the day, somebody else can do that.
You can train someone else.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to have that back end perfect. And during March, April, May, we made some great changes, and we tooled our business to perfection. And I think that's when we realized, as we went on and things were working again, July, August, September, October, November, we realized, look, we each have great businesses here. But you know what COVID did for a lot of people is it made people realize that they have to put their trust in people that are not afraid to spend money. And in like any business, there's always people out there that are very part-time. And sure, in a very active market, you might be able to use those people. But when you really need to count on somebody to do a good job, they got to make sure they're spending the money. And that's what we're not afraid to do. When we market a house, we spend the bucks. And some of these places, when we come out of it at the end, it's actually not a lot of income compared to what we put into it. But you know what? You're going to have some wins. You're going to have some ones that don't win as much, and it'll all work out. And it doesn't matter what the property is. If it's up here or it's down here, everybody gets the same treatment. And that's important for people to know.
And at the end of the day, because you put that money into somebody else's property did not mean you didn't get the marketing power out of that.
No, because
But
that person
two
that had that little 1-bedroom condo will appreciate that so much. I guarantee you they'll tell 5 of their friends.
And then your brand was also marketed through marketing the property. So you got two different arms of marketing going at the exact same time.
And that's where it'll take off.
And that's exactly
And that's why you have to invest in some of these things.
When it sells, and we haven't even sold it yet. So we're almost like underwater, but we know that client's getting full service. That's going to sell. They're going to be so happy that their house is viewed 12,000 times in the last 2 months. And they'll tell somebody else. So that's it, right? Yeah. That's what we worked on during this whole time.
I've always, over the last few years, I'd love to be ahead of that curve. So when somebody does something and you sit back and think, I should have done that. Yeah. I want to be the one that they're pointing at on their screen saying, I should have done that. And I love to be creating things that's ahead of the curve.
So tell us about what is going to be the Ty Corsie Group, or tycorsie.com. What are you excited about the most, and where do you see this going?
Well, obviously working with great company, GrowRev. Gotta throw that out there. GrowRev, get the sandals. He better give you a free pair.
Yeah, sandals. Yeah.
I'm just, you know what? I'm honestly excited to put myself out there to try something that's not for a month or two, to try something consistently for 6 months or a year and see the results. Yeah. I don't think there's many people still leaning out there doing a lot of online advertising.
Nope, not at all.
There's not I think everybody's a bit nervous of why isn't it bringing me leads right off the bat?
Not to a realm, and that's a good thing, and that's one thing you just said right there. Is like, you know, most people you're spending the money, and this is funny because this is a conversation I have every single day. So people spend the money in their advertising today, expecting a return tomorrow, but not realizing that, you know, what you spend today, as long as you know your numbers, because in my eyes, marketing is just a mathematical equation. Because if you spend $1 today and you know that person saw your ad, they may potentially come and buy a house from you 6 or 12 months from now, but it came from today. If they didn't see your ad today, they would have never bought that house from you.
Nope.
And most people don't know that. Most people don't even know what that one client is worth, like lifetime value in marketing. What is that one client worth to them? You probably have people that have bought multiple houses from you since 2003.
Oh, there's been one client in particular, 6.
6 houses.
You know, yeah, 6.
So
and he's told my name to 6 others.
So look at that.
I mean, that is a golden client right there, right? Shout out to the Smith family. Yeah, that's who that is. Yeah. But we always joke about that. Just, man, the referrals. And like you say, invest in what you want to do and consistently and for a long amount of time. You cannot do any type of advertising for a month. It's not going to work.
You can't even, in today's day,
trust me, it's not going to work.
Not even 3 months.
My mail-out campaign lasted about 3 years before I started to see returns. Yeah. That's $1,000 every week.
Gone.
Yeah. And I just kept doing it. But over time, it came. It worked out.
You know, you're doing 7 bazillion stories. If you're doing 7 bazillion stories, but you're doing it from an information perspective and people are actually learning something, it will convert.
It's got to be good content.
Yeah, that's exactly.
My goodness, it's got to be good. The way you word things, the way you structure things, that's really important, right? This morning after our team meeting, I was just saying to the boys here in the background, I had just kind of expressed my gratitude for 120 families served this year so far.
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's a lot of great people that we worked with. Yeah. So I went on there, gave a shout out to the realtors out there for sending me positive messages, all my clients and friends and all of us in the team. 124 private DMs I got within an hour.
It's amazing.
Like just of people reaching out, and whether it's a fist pump or a hand clap or a awesome, like that is great. Like that engagement is amazing.
The one thing that you said that differentiates the way you do business compared to, and what I like about it a lot is, a lot of people look at the fact that they're number one realtor in here, or homes sold, 120 homes sold. We've seen that a lot, and that to me is you're talking about you as a real estate agent and what you've done, but not the end consumer. What you do is you flip it on its head. You talk about the families that you've helped, and that's what attracts the end audience.
Try switching the way you word that. Yeah. Instead of 120 homes sold, 120 families served. Yeah. It's amazing what can come from that little shift. It's great to be able to connect with somebody that's on the same business mindset as you, like Rohan is with me. Friendship, business, everything that we've done over the past 6 or 7 years has been insane. I'm truly grateful for.
It's been insane.
It's been a great.
We've had some good times. We've had some good laughs. We've had some good trips. Some few Vegas trips.
Some great times. I look forward to many more. I'm excited for the launch. I'm excited for you to help me.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you turn what is finally going to be Ty Corsie Group. So for anybody wrapping this video up, Corsie, where can they find you? One, what is something that you can suggest to people going into an uncertain time of 2021? Yeah. What can they do? Yeah. And if there's an end consumer that wants to work with you, how can they work with you?
Well, that's sold by Ty, tycorsie.com. Yeah. Pretty simple, pretty basic. Uncertain times for next year. Where are we going to be here? We could have the same kind of thing happen to us again. Work on that back end, guys. Work on the back end. You have months to work on it if it does go quiet. Have it perfect. Think about the client experience. Yeah. Think about the process of which you run your business and a checklist that you can make for some admin to work on. And just reach back to all those past clients. Let them know the situation. Let them know what your thoughts are on the current market. Mm-hmm. And just always be top of mind.
Absolutely.
It's important.
If you guys liked what Ty shared, some of the fun things that we've had, go and follow him. Whether it's whether you want to work with him from a perspective of coming in and potentially working with him as a realtor underneath him, whether it's you want to buy or sell a house with him, or just follow him on Instagram, because I can guarantee you what you're going to see this year in 2021 with what we're going to do from the marketing perspective with his brand, his team is going to be one for the books. One that I don't think people in Vancouver have seen. This video specifically also, Ty, is going to be, we are going to be running ads, I think $500 to $1,000 per video that we put out, we're going to be putting. So there's going to be a lot of people in Vancouver that are going to see you.
Sounds good.
From locally owned, so hopefully you can match that too.
Sounds
maybe.
good. I'm excited to see what you guys do too. Your company's been great. It's been growing like crazy, and these things are fantastic. I look forward to seeing who you interview.
As you guys just saw, we had an epic episode with one of my longtime business and personal friends, Ty Corsie from the Ty Corsie Group. His transition of being in the industry for over 15 plus years, working with his dad, understanding the entire market, understanding what to do in real estate, to now today building one of the most respected brands, in my personal opinion, in the Vancouver and BC region. Hope you guys got a lot of value out of this. Hope you guys are able to understand what a true, passionate, purposeful, driven human being can bring when they, commit to a career and commit to literally just giving back to the masses, because that's all he really focuses on doing. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. So if you guys like this, one thing I want you to do is go follow Ty at Sold by Ty. And as well, if you guys like this episode, give this video a thumbs up, leave me a comment, hit that subscribe button. I look forward to seeing you next week on Local.